All right, thank you, Sanjeet. And thanks to everyone tuning in from around the world. We're proud of the work we've done with smart cities and smart connected spaces. While everyone knows what smart cities are, we define smart connected spaces as a set of custom designed system solutions across multiple verticals that help with the ease of deployment and faster time to market. For example, a smart airport or a smart warehouse. With that, I'm really looking forward to this discussion about the intersection of 5G and smart cities. So let's dive in. We know that the 5G era is already here, but there are untapped opportunities we haven't yet dreamed up for our future. What kind of future do you see 5G ushering in? Cristiano, let's start with you.
Look, we're super excited because 5G is really positioned to be, the connectivity to the internet. And the way 5G has been defined, it's been defined to basically connect everything to the cloud 100% of the time in a reliable manner. That's the elevator pitch on 5G. And it's going to be part of our critical infrastructure, and it's going to have the much bigger transformative, impact than any other wireless technology. And as we get connected with the cloud, then we can bring the hyperscale, processing capacity and democratize computing. We have data from those connected devices, and with that, we can apply machine learning and make those devices smart. The transformation power of new business models and transformation leading us to this new digital economy, it's going to be incredible. And we can't really think about smart cities without thinking about the opportunities that we have ahead with 5G connectivity. And especially now, as every single company is really accelerating the digital transformation of their business, and 5G has a key role to play.
Thank you, Cristiano. Aamir, how about from a carrier perspective?
Look, Cristiano covers lots of elements of 5G, which are near and dear to our heart. At Verizon, we are especially proud to be a part of a team that has built a 5G network that is real. So we call it 5G built right. It's built out of ultra wideband. It's built for enterprise. The capabilities it provides lets you enable its currencies, and I'm going to talk about what those are. But first and foremost, we are live in 55 cities. We have something called mobile edge compute live in 6 cities, where you can do some of the things Cristiano just talked about. And really proud to be what we have done, and really looking forward to taking our customers into their 4th industrial revolution journey. 5G makes it all real. So with that, I think of 5G in its currencies. Currencies such as very high density on sensors, sensor densification, very high mobility, higher speed, reliability, security. Those are some of the things an enterprise needs to really be much more productive in what they're doing right now. So this is what's really helping change the landscape and helping our customers, come on board and work with us on use cases that will let them really be much more productive and be on their digital journey as they move towards 4th industrial revolution. So just imagine a retail environment, right, where today a customer goes in, they have to go search for stuff. The staff at night goes out, looks at the shelves and figure out what to replenish and what not. Imagine, someone walking in, they getting coupons, they getting a better understanding of what it is. They can try things before they even get to the store, or they don't even have to get to the store because they have AR, VR to be able to use higher bandwidth and capabilities 5G provides to be able to try stuff just all beforehand. And then the retailers getting an understanding of what's on their shelves on a real-time basis and syncing it up through their supply chain and managing it out, everything in an automated fashion. It all becomes real. Imagine having AI ML running at the edge. You couldn't do it without having a 5G capability with very low latency and high bandwidth, and being the power of compute. To your point, it's all about movement to cloud. We say It's about moving to edge cloud, and 5G makes it real.
So thank you, Aamir. You give some really compelling examples in the context of the retail implementations and use cases. Cristiano, what are some exciting use cases for 5G in the context of smart cities and smart connected spaces that you've considered?
That's a great question, Jeff. Look, the disclaimer is we're right at the beginning, and there are many cases yet to be invented, and I think that's what's fascinating about 5G. But even this early, there's some that we're already seeing, which is really powerful, and I want to kind of give that example. So one is how 5G can change both the service as well as the efficiency of first responders in an emergency in the city. I give a practical example. There's a very interesting application that has been in a pilot program in the UK done by British Telecom, Everything Everywhere, which are 5G connected ambulances. So when you actually have paramedics come on site, they have in the 5G connected ambulance the ability to basically do high definition image exams that gets sent and broadcasted to a panel of doctors into the hospital, and they will start the diagnosis and treatment on the way to the hospital. At the same time, they actually are trialing connected via 5G, so mechanical hands that could remotely guide, for example, how you're going to do an ultrasound, which location you want to do an ultrasound, and in any other type of image exams that we can do with the paramedics. Incredible transformation. The other one that I like is smart traffic, and especially a lot of the big cities, traffic and traffic safety. When you add, for example, 5G and cellular V2X, there's a lot of conversation, for example, about autonomy and autonomous cars, but we don't have to go there. You can do that with 5G, but you don't have to necessarily go there. When you think about cars today, with the current navigation systems, think about populating that map that today you see the streets, and you see a car moving in the streets, with every other car in the road using 5G cellular V2X, using cellular V2I, right, infrastructure. You can have information from intersections, and you can also have people with their smartphones with V2P. You get information of pedestrians, and then how in the map they move, you can calculate possible directions of path, possible alert on collisions, a dangerous situation with pedestrian. It's a complete transformation how we think about navigation systems, and even the dashboard of a car, how you provide alerts to the driver. And this is just the beginning on some of those cases. And what we like about it is that really 5G can touch in a city, transportation, can touch emergency services, it can touch security, surveillance, and all the way to utilities when you think about smart energy. So the opportunity and use cases within smart cities, it's enormous.
So let's talk a little bit about timing. How far away are we from making some of these use cases a reality? And are we seeing any specific cities or use cases that are emerging as the pioneers in this process? Aamir, can we start with you?
Yeah, look, I think we are just at the beginning of a massive transformation in this space, right? So there was a lot of investment cities have made over the number of years in turning up cameras everywhere. Now, those cameras are getting connected with 5G, so that we can do smart traffic management. Cristiano mentioned AR, VR for first responders. There are some real-time applications which are being built for things that are very real in terms of using currencies of 5G and providing applications to the customers. We are also seeing some use cases where we are partnering with certain outfits and building real-time robotic surgery completely done remotely in a field environment. And there are definitely use cases there for those type of special situations. We are also partnering with large venue operators to provide entry exit, all based on a computer vision platform. So you don't have to talk to anyone. You can go in the event, you can come out, you can buy stuff off the shelf. It's touchless, cashless. We can provide cloud management, you can provide security, you can identify threats, who's supposed to be there, who's not supposed to be there. So those are some of the fundamental use cases that we are moving forward with. At the same time, we are definitely evaluating opportunities such as, V2X on fleet management, right? So to be able to provide real-time navigation in certain weather environments, in certain areas where there's no coverage in a private network. But tremendous amount of opportunities, lots happening in this space. A lot of this is really centered around four key capabilities. One, computer vision. Second, AI ML. Third, AGV management. And fourth, AR VR. And lots of use cases. I personally have looked at 60 to 70 use cases, and we have narrowed it down to 8 to 10 that we are turning into real solutions that we are working with our real customers and taking it to market. So again, adoption curve will take time as 5G proliferates. It's also a function of how many devices will be on 5G and how many connected devices we'll see. This whole ecosystem needs to be built, but it's really moving in the right direction.
Cristiano, how do you think about the timing of the rollout and how smart cities and smart connected spaces will intersect with 5G?
Look, I echo what Aamir said, but maybe I'll provide a data point which give us an interesting perspective on timing. And it's to do a comparison, for example, what happened on 4G. So right now, there's commercialization of 5G has been extremely fast. We have now over 95 operators in more than 40 countries that with commercial service. And when I make a comparison, that is 5 times the speed of LTE deployment within the first 18 months. So 5 times. So that in itself is probably a sign that this transition is going to be much faster, and we're going to see those use cases coming, and they're starting to begin right now. But there's another one which I actually like to point out in a number of conversations. It will normally, as we talk about in this conversation today, it will normally, for a new technology, it takes about a decade. It lasts about a decade from the beginning to it gets to full potential. And it will take a company like Qualcomm, will take a company like Verizon, probably 5 years to get a broader industry to understand the benefit of the technology and start to develop their applications. And what would take us 5 years, we saw happening in about 6 months with the pandemic. Ready or not for remote learning, it's happening. Remote medicine, it's happening. Remote work, it's happening. And it brought this technology value front and center. And companies that first connected their people, now they needed to connect their assets. And this whole acceleration of technology in those use cases is happening at really breaknecking speed. So I make a prediction that because of what we have been through in 20, we're probably going to see those use cases getting to some interesting scale as early as 2021. And just because of this massive acceleration that we see and the fact that networks are being built, much faster than what we saw with 4G LTE.
Aamir, are you seeing certain industries or market verticals that are ahead of others? And which do you think will lead this new age of smart city, smart connected spaces using 5G?
Yeah, look, certain verticals, there's a need to go change. So most of our customers who have large machinery, so, let's talk about manufacturing. They're on a 7-year cycle to replace their compute store and other things. And, we are at the cusp of that cycle. So a lot of changes are happening. At that point in time, they're making a decision now for what they would need for the next 7 years to come. And this is where they want the reliability of 5G, the security, and low latency. So we are now working with several industries on manufacturing use cases. And let me give you a couple of examples that we have publicly talked about. We are partnering with Corning in tracking all of their fiber wheels as they come off the line and then they get shipped out to their customers. We are managing their automated guided robots that are moving their inventory between lines around, all done on 5G today. Let's talk about another potential use case with a customer of ours who's one of the largest distributor of cell phones within the US, and they distribute cell phones to all the providers. They get hundreds of thousands of units on an hourly basis on multiple lines, and they have to pick up the box, figure out whether it's iOS or Android. They have to scan it, and they have to put it in the right place, and someone else comes in, moves it, put it on a truck, out it goes. We have developed a computer vision platform that runs on our Mac that now does all of this in an automated fashion. The box comes in based on certain parameters, it gets registered into their supply chain inventory system. We know from a security perspective who's supposed to touch what, where the inventory is going, all automated. So these type of use cases are actually very prevalent. Let me give you another example of an auto manufacturer. They are already on the cusp of moving in a fully automated environment, but they were not able to get the real-time aspects. They were getting all kind of welding data that was going in the cloud, and afterwards they were getting predictive maintenance analysis on, if you change this, you can save that much on welding, or you were welded incorrectly here, you should go fix all that. So that costs millions of dollars to do these type of corrections after the fact. Now they're working with us in a 5G environment where you can get the PLC data, and on a real-time basis, at the edge, you can make certain decisions and instruct the robot to make a welding correction. You got to be under 10, 15, 20 milliseconds to be able to do this. That type of latency, that type of computing store power, higher bandwidth, and sensor densification is not possible with any other technology. So these are some of the use cases that we are seeing. So manufacturing is one. I talked about venues, right? So entertainment is another one where you can run an AR, VR game on a public Mac and provide much higher fidelity and better, latency, jitter. Gamers, live for that type of stuff, and we see that taking off. And then we are working with, the industries in the public sector, where things like, nuclear plant maintenance, grid maintenance, those are all the things which are all real possibilities. As Cristiano said, any technology adoption takes time, right? So this is a brand new technology. The good thing is the network is built much faster than it was before in the last technology upgrade cycle. So that's there. And we've got some willing partners who are working with us to really push this through the innovation cycle. And we think the adoption on this would be much faster than what we have seen in the past. And as a matter of fact, one of the upside, and I'm sorry to say that, of this pandemic, is we have seen 5 years worth of digital transformation really happen in 5 months. So now the customers are much more willing to talk to us about this stuff because they see a real need for this technology. And it's a matter of adoption, and we are working with lots of industries across different segments to help push this thing through. But we are excited. I think we are in we have the right technology, right customer set, and the right use cases to really innovate on top of this.
Incredible. Thank you. Really exciting use cases. Thinking more specifically about smart city and specific smart city use cases, we know that smart transportation will change significantly with 5G. What do cities have to do to embrace this change? What is their role in embracing the changes that 5G can bring?
It's the very first one, and maybe we'll be a little bit selfish, since we like the technology so much, is the full support within cities in general for the embrace cellular V2X, technology with 5G, and kind of understanding that traffic lights and some of the intersections or places that you have to deploy an infrastructure. Like a great example will be a partnership within carriers and municipalities. One of the challenges the carriers have today, especially if we think about ultra wideband 5G with millimeter wave technology, you needed to put more sites. And into some aspects, a lot of the traffic lights in some of the locations when you have intersections could be great spots for sites. At the same time, you have to deploy roadside units of cellular V2X. So there is an importance of upgrading some of the traffic lights to smart traffic lights with cellular V2X technology. That's one aspect. The other aspect is some cities have done that already, even with 4G, to open public transportation data for developers in building on connectivity. So you can actually have a platform that you can develop a number of applications and services based on that data. And I think that's just some examples, building what I said about cellular V2X technology, but I'm sure there's many more, yet as we get starting, deploying 5G broadly.
Thank you, Cristiano. Aamir, what do you see as the role of the city in helping to move along things like smart transportation?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a two-dimensional approach. There are some cities which are way ahead. City like Lake Nona, which is a new community in Orlando, Florida. We have partnered with them and build an innovation lab and we're building all kind of innovation on 5G, Mac, edge compute, AI, ML, powering, healthcare and other type of applications. But for a general city, they want to make sure that there's interoperability between what they have and what's coming. So what do I mean by this, right? They may have deployed a whole bunch of traffic lights. They may be collecting data from their parking meters today, because these things work on 4G LTE fine today, right? So they want to make sure that they understand what it means to expand to 5G. Their goal really is safety and making sure that they use their current infrastructure and build it in a way and upgrade it in a way without impacting their current operations. So backwards compatibility is another one, right? At the same time, they are worried about autonomous driving. Many cities have long debates about, hey, whether we should allow autonomous, driving in their cities or not. And 5G helps them feel better about the possibility of getting all kind of data, giving them more insights on the safety procedures that autonomous driving cars and companies have embodied within their own platform. So, we are working with several companies to help address this gap. We are also working with several cities to really identify that, hey, if you deploy and work this thing on 5G, your number of fatalities will go down over time. You will have fewer blind spots. You will protect pedestrians while they're crossing the streets. We've done some work with M-City and University of Michigan to demonstrate some of this technology. We are also working with Easy Mile. They're one of our partners, and they've actually deployed an autonomous shuttle within our campus that runs on 5G. It runs slow today, but you can hop on there and go from building to building. These are all things we are doing to prove that 5G is the engine or will be the engine behind some of the innovation that needs to happen. So from a city perspective, adoption would be a bigger thing, but they will get to that adoption once they feel comfortable about the technology, its scalability, and the power of innovation it enables as a platform for everybody else in the ecosystem who can come in and innovate on top of that. And there's a lot of innovation going on in this space, but we feel like that we have a platform that is open enough for us to demonstrate to the cities that it's time for them to adopt these things, and we are already working with many cities on these initiatives.
Speaking of innovation, Cristiano and Aamir, you both have mentioned a number of use cases. And as the general manager of Qualcomm's IoT business unit, I hear all the time that IoT is quite fragmented. What can we do to address the fragmentation? Aamir, what do the operators, or what are you doing to address the fragmentation in IoT, and how we serve the various use cases given that fragmentation?
Yeah, look, one of the things we see is, there's truly lack of digitization on this front. I mean, even though it's supposed to solve for that, right? So you collect a lot of data, but the whole connectivity process, and then on top of that connected sensor application, going, having a look within what's happening within the data, all on a real-time basis, providing an ability to our partners and customers to use these things, turn them up in a quick fashion, being able to deploy their applications in a profitable way. Those things have been difficult in the past. So, very recently we took our IoT platform and put that on a cloud and build APIs and digital interfaces for our customers to use that. Now we are able to get 10x the logos we used to get in a month, just because it's so easy to use. So ease of use is one of the key things which I think is fragmented that we need to definitely solve for. The second is, we need to think about the notion of 5G private network for the industrial type deployments. This is where IoT and 5G actually intersect, and they need to come together, right? Most of the sensors today, they work on the Wi-Fi network. And one of the bigger issues that our customers tell us about is, Wi-Fi APs, in a normal factory floor, you have anywhere from 200 to 500 of these APs managing 500, to several thousand sensors. And as technology adopts, they have to go change all these APs all the time. And then, they can't collect all this data because of, interference and other issues. Now, Wi-Fi 6 and some of those things are supposed to solve for that. But at the same time, it is very, very difficult to get the latency they need to be able to solve for that building problem I talked about, in the auto space. So those are all the things that needs to be solved for. And then layer of analytics that should be built on top of these things, tied back to your IoT applications, tied to your connectivity. This is a problem that we have to solve for the whole stack: connectivity, platform, and solutions. Today, these things are completely fragmented. There are 3 different players who are active in this space because technology wasn't there in the past for a company like Verizon to go take control of the whole ecosystem. And now it's there, and we are playing in this. So I'm hoping that as we build our innovation labs, as you innovate and partner with companies like Qualcomm, we can solve this problem.
So speaking of Qualcomm, Cristiano, from the perspective of a technology innovator, how can we address the issue of fragmentation?
I agree with what Aamir said, but also there is a positive thing, and maybe there's a silver lining, and that speaks to the technology side of things, which is the fact that IoT is very fragmented. There is an advantage that we don't have a situation like in other industries where only one company is allowed to innovate. And what I like about even the business model of companies like Qualcomm and operators like Verizon, which really provides a platform that many companies can innovate, and even within a fragmented environment, spur an acceleration of innovation and inventions in this space. Now, fragmentation needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed in all the areas that Aamir outlined, but also how you think about data. Because one of the key value of the 5G connectivity, the IoT, which means a connected device, is actually you have the ability to transport and analyze data. And I'll even give an example. I am the co-chair of the IoT Council within the World Economic Forum that is trying to really understand some of the areas that require governance. And one of them is the ability to have interoperability and ability to have the data to be exchanged, even though respecting the ownership of data, but the effect to promote interoperability so systems can actually be connected and you share data, even though every type of segment will have its specialty. And eventually we can build a broad connected platform that we can realize the full potential in IoT. Another way to think about fragmentation and bringing the conversation back to the smart cities, which is it was not a necessity in cities, but when we think about this, the digital transformation that we're seeing everywhere, including cities, a mayor may want to think about a role of a CTO in a city, and that technology offset in a city will be able to help address fragmentation, access to data, interoperability between data, and how the systems will connect and how the systems will operate, and kind of help the industry even at the local level. So are all opportunities, and this is all like a green field since we're just the beginning of that transition.
So speaking of mayors, we're going to hear from a panel of 3 mayors next. What do you think makes up a model 5G city? Aamir, can we start with you?
Yeah, look, my perspective is that a model 5G city should serve its constituents in a fully digital fashion, right? So they should provide connectivity, security, reliability, higher speed, really a life-changing experience. And we spent some time talking about the experiences 5G helps create. A city should look at all the currencies of 5G and enable it for their constituents. So that's one. Second, I think about sensor densification. City have lots of sensors today, but because of technology limitations, they might have thousands of sensors, and large cities have millions of sensors. With 5G, now you can tackle billions of sensors. So the city can collect all kind of data and improve their processes, their operations. The data is out there. They're unable to get to that data and make useful insights from the data on a real-time basis. 5G will help us, bridge that gap. The last one, which is the most important one, is how 5G can help the first responders within a city, right? Providing them access to applications through network prioritization, network slicing, real-time applications, AR, VR, robotic surgery in the field. Some of the examples I provided, firearms to next generation communication systems, fire shot detection, criminal, crime prevention, tremendous amount of opportunities that exist. You've got cameras in every city, you got parking sensors in every city, you have data everywhere. The problem is that this data is unstructured. The cities are unable to collect and make decisions about how they can improve their life or citizens' lives based on this data. And 5G will actually help solve for that problem. So we've built some solutions, as I mentioned, taking our Max solution, pairing it with 5G, partnering with an ecosystem that can help build these applications, can really help improve the overall experience of any constituent in any city.
Cristiano, how do you think about the model 5G city?
It's a very good question, and maybe I'll give a provocative answer, right? We all know that the transformative power of technology, transformative power of 5G, and the difficulty for cities is when you talk about all those things that you could do, you're going to have a lot of obstacles. Some is no, cannot do, so it's not possible, regulatory, legal challenges, right? But I think what a model a 5G city is, if we can just design it from scratch, it has some of the elements of the conversation we just had. First one is a city that is going to incentivize the broad deployment of 5G, outdoor and indoors, make it very easy for operators to get access to site permits and build 5G as a critical infrastructure, no different than electricity in the power grid. Everyone connect with 5G and help overcome the first one, which is the site permit. Then, with a CTO office of a mayor, design what would the services look like once they have the power of the technology. Just think about the future, and then walk themselves into that spot by addressing the regulatory framework, the legal framework, etc. And at the end, what you're going to see is things that are critical services of a city. Most of the population live in a city, whether it's healthcare that we talk about it, education, security, and transportation, and many others. You're going to have a much better service for everyone with the power of this technology. And I think it's a great opportunity for mayors since we're just in the beginning of that transition. And we can have a lot of model 5G cities, and hopefully, starting, right here in the United States.
All right. Exciting insights from both of you. Really incredible to think about how our world is changing and how 5G, IoT, and cities can come together to make what you described as a future vision a reality. So thank you to both of you for being here and participating in this year's event. Back to you, Sanjit.